Okay, so that's EMR, and then there's another statistic I want to show you. I'm full of statistics today. You guys asked me about financing, and I love just diving into it. So I want to give you another statistic. This statistic is a little bit harder to stomach, unfortunately. This statistic says that in 2008, our pledge fulfillment rate was 93%. That's very good as fulfillment rates of those types of things go. Unfortunately, in 2009, our pledge fulfillment rate was 83%. That's an awful lot. And so you have to wonder, well, what was that all about? And I believe the economy and the anxiety associated with that. Some people may have lost their jobs. Again, the fact that some people moved, some people transferred, some people passed away. So there was an impact there. But I would say that, you know, the challenges that we've had as a council managing the budget, which you entrust us to do per the Constitution, it has been a challenge because we've been down in terms of our offerings. That's numbers, it's just straight numbers. Whatever you get in is what you have, what you're able to work with. So there we are. It's a number, a statistic for what it's worth. So what I wanted to talk to you, are there any questions on EMR? Because I'm actually going to transition away from EMR and I'm going to talk a little bit about the budget, since, you know, there is some correlation. Shoot, did you? No, you just passing the envelope along.
I don't think this has ever happened before.
What's that?
That low a number.
Yeah, I don't know.
We used to have.
It's always been in the 90s.
It's always been in the 90s that I know.
And in fact, that 93% is very good, because it's usually right around 89, 90%. A 93% fulfillment rate in 2008 meant that we were on a high at that time, which we were until October, I think it was October 2008, and everything just crashed to the ground.
Yeah. Well, you had 33,000 from a number of folks that left last year various ways. And that, if you average that out, they're gone a half a year.
Right.
That's your 10%. There's your, at least the biggest part of it.
Right. Right.
We also had a couple of folks that communicated to me that after the decision of the assembly, that they were either redirecting their pledge or not pledging because of the ELCA's decision. So that's something that, you know, you look at what happened last year, it never happened before. Well, there's another one. So there's been several things that happened that never happened before. And I think that contributed.
So that we do have a handle on maybe why. Maybe the issue is what to do.
Punches.
Yeah. Yeah. Rob.
Has there been a similar change in the unpledged getting, or is the unpledged sort of filling in that difference?
That's a good question, and I'll turn it to Rick. I don't know. That's a very good question.
Yeah, actually, unpledged is down further than pledged. As you would, if you think of the psychological impact, it is. People really want to try to fulfill their pledges. If you're unpledged, you're probably slightly less likely to try to maintain a giving status. I'm trying to read into some of it. I can tell you we kind of know that. We also have some timing issues in that more and more people have understood that the IRS also recognizes December as a closeout. That more people are using a donation of stocks and lump sum giving through various tax management issues. That creates a timing situation and plays into some of these stats, some as well.
The other thing I'd share with you is I've had several people, a number of families, pull me aside as pastor and have a conversation about circumstances in their family situation. I would not have been the person that would have had that conversation with in the past, so I can't tell how that compares to previous years. But there have been significant conversations. Our learning in our recent conversation at council is that I probably, in some way, need to share that better with Rick so that he can do a better forecasting job. You know, we're both confidential, but so that's part of the transition. I don't know how that compares to previous years. I would have had that conversation
and like I said, we can come back to any of this during the Q&A if you want to see a slide again. So I'm going to transition a little bit and talk about the budget. And what kind of effect did all of this have on the budget? Well, you see these statistics every month now. We provide them in the monthly newsletter. So I just pulled those statistics from the January newsletter, which can only report in arrears, which means that you're seeing December. And so for December, as Rick just mentioned, there was a spike of about $12,000 above what we typically would have expected or needed, if you will, the requirement for December. I would love to assume that the dam has broken and everybody believes again. And everybody has faith again, and it was because of an article that I wrote. You know, I'd love to hope that we've turned the corner. I suspect it is not. I suspect it's because of what Rick was saying, is folks were holding till the end of the year to make sure that they could meet their commitments, et cetera, and then they, dropped lump sums in the process. I suspect that's what it was. I don't really care. I mean, that's good too. We'll take it that way. It makes it a little bit harder for us to do, planning and managing along the way, because you can never count on that. You have to count on the most austere situation. But December was a very good month. December was such a good month that now we are only $4,600 below our budget. But there's more, as they say. There's more. The reason we're only $4,600 below our budget, in other words, our requirement, is because we had some changes. There have been some reductions in pastoral salary because we had one pastor who passed away and one pastor who has left. That's no longer a budget requirement. So that has adjusted again. We've been able to use those monies to pay bills. Through Rick and Pastor Freeborn, I just have to make a mention here. This man is amazing, and you need to thank him at every turn that you can. Rick Graves. This man is amazing in terms of many things, but in particular in terms of his business acumen. Between the two of them, when they get together, we have some very solid discussions when we get to council. And we are able now to ask some very difficult questions because, as I mentioned very early on, Rick and Pastor Freeborn have tried to make a more homogeneous view of how we do our financial management at Glory Day. The can scenario, at some point in our history, will hopefully be an anachronism. It'll go away. Because what we'll have is we'll have the ability to fluidly look at our financial needs and work them between all of our different accounts. We're getting there, and Rick and Pastor Freeborn have been stalwart in being able to facilitate that kind of change. It's a big cultural change, as much as it is just fixing spreadsheets and hooking up databases. There's cultures here of people who have managed stuff to a certain extent like this, just because it was easier when you grew up. It was easier just to make sure that folks knew what they had control over and that had these accounts and you were able to manage them. But I think as we go along, especially as we do more things in Glory Day Ministries Incorporated, that you're going to see more of a blend of these financial mechanisms. So, but they have instituted some tight spending controls. They've worked with the various account managers, worship, care, I'm trying to think of education, community, all of our different ministries that are out there. And to their credit, those leads have been very responsive in trying to adjust to the kind of challenges that we've had in terms of budget.